our phone number. Just a little bit different than the standard US phone number that we have here in the selection, and also shows you how you can put in your own custom regular expression. So that looks good. Now, one of the things we also have to do here is account for spacing between the R and this message, phone must be in the format, because we could have text in here and then the R would not be displayed, but it could be invalid, so we'd still get the second message. And we don't want things jumping around on the page, and we don't want the phone message to be way out to the right. So what you can do on the required is there's a display property, and it has two values, which are static, dynamic, and none. We have it currently static, which means that the R, or the text of our required field validator, always takes up space on the page even when it's not visible. What we're going to do is change that to dynamic, and now what will happen is that the text of our required validator will only take up space on the page when it's displayed, and so that will cause the second message from our regular expression off to the right of it to be moved or shifted to the left when the R is not displayed. So now let's test out the validation on the phone field. We'll just click Login, and you'll see we do get the required indicator for the phone, as well as the last name. So let's fill in last name, Smith. And now let's only put 3 digits for the phone, which should cause the regular expression validator to fail, which it does. You see the phone's still listed at the bottom as having an invalid entry. We get our message here on what the proper format is, so let's put that in. And now we'll say login or submit, and both messages are gone because we fully passed validation for both the required and regular expression aspects of the phone number field. Alright, let's move on to date of birth. Date of birth, we want to do 3 different validations. So first we'll put a required field validator, and after that we're going to put a regular expression, and the third one is going to be the range validator. The required field will be the same as we've done before, so let me just set that up. Date of birth. The font and the name is date of birth for our validation message in the box at the bottom, and the text will be the R. And we will make this dynamic, so it smooshes to the left if it is valid. Next is our regular expression validator. We'll set up some of the things that we're familiar with, which is date of birth, validation message, class. The error message will again be date of birth if something's wrong. Show that down the summary box. And the text will be date must be in the format month, day, 4-digit year. And then for our validation regular expression, again we're going to do a custom one, and I'm just going to paste in a date validation regular expression that I have on hand. So we're all set with the regular expression, and then the third one is the range validator, which we haven't looked at yet. And the first 2 properties are common to the other ones, which control we want to validate, and the class. The error message, I'll put the field name, which is date of birth. And then the text we're going to display, what we're going to say is that date must be between, we're going to start with 1850, hopefully no one older than that, and today. And we'll show you how we get today momentarily. The next thing we want to set are these minimum and maximum values for the range validation. And the first one we're going to set is the minimum, and it goes in the format year, month, day. So we'll do 1850/1/1. And then the maximum value, which we want to be today, the way we're going to set that is we're going to go into the code behind. We're going to override the onload event for the page. And we're going to go to the range validator 1. Then we're going to go to the maximum value, and we're going to set this equal to the static date time object today.to string, and we're going to specify that it be year, month, day. So this will set the maximum value every time the form is loaded to the current date. And we have one more property that we need to set, and this is the type of range that we're evaluating. It's string by default, and we want to set it to date to do the date validation. And before we run the page and take a look, remember there's one more property we need to set on the regular expression. We need to make that a dynamic. Since we have 3 in a row here, we want that to collapse to the left as well. So now let's take a look. So we have our page. We'll enter last name. We know we want that, and the phone number. Now date of birth, we'll just leave that blank. We get our required validator, and let's put in invalid date format, so we'll just go 33. And we get 2 messages, one that it's in the wrong format and also that it's out of range. So let's do a valid format, but one that's beyond today. We still get the message, has to be beyond today. Let's go back and put it at 1849, and we still get the message. Let's change that to 1949, which would be a valid date, and indeed it passes validation. So that's an example of using multiple validation operators, in fact 3 in a row, each of a different type, to get the end result that we wanted. Next, let's do email. We'll do 2 validations on email. And the first one that we'll do will be a required. So we'll put that down, and we'll also do a regular expression. Required, we'll set the normal properties that you're familiar with now. Get that class, and the field, or the message, name of the field is email, and the text that we want is our capital R. And I see we just set the regular expression, so let me make that correction, and we'll just do email validation message. We'll put email, and we will put the capital R. So that looks good. Now we'll go back to the regular expression, and all is not lost here, because we do want these 2 properties to be what we've entered, and the error message is correct. But the text we want to do, put not a valid email format, must be email at host.domain. And I see we spelled validation wrong. I noticed that the red was not bold. That is good. Let's make sure we need to set the dynamic for the display type. Now we need a regular expression, and there is one for internet email address. So we'll take that. Okay, let's test out email. Just click Login. We see we do get that it needs to be required. Let's put an invalid email. Now we get the message, not a valid email. It's also listed in our validation summary. Let's enter a valid email. And we'll put jim@temp.org. And now the email passes the validation. The last two we're going to do are the password